everybody. I am super excited to be on here. I feel super excited. I have got Georgina with us today, which is so exciting. She's just been telling me about her practice in the UK and how busy she is and all the people that she is helping. So welcome, Georgina.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's so much fun to be here and it's lovely to see you.
Oh, it's so good that you're here. And you were saying that you're just so busy helping all these people.
Yes, it's really gone a little bit nuts, to be honest with you. And I think the other spinal flow girlies who are qualified, or not just girlies, but boys as well in the UK, I think they're going to be finding themselves rushed off their feet as well, because it's taking the UK by storm.
Yay. And that's what it is. Like, you've jumped in, you've said yes. And we are a relatively new, we've been in Australia for quite a long time, but we're very new to UK and Europe. So I just think it's awesome that you've trusted that, you've jumped in, and now you're massively busy, which I love because you've got a whole population of people that need your help, which is so great.
Yeah, it's amazing. And all walks of life, all problems. There's not just, they're not the same, nobody's the same, and everybody who comes there, they've all got their own issues, and it's amazing.
Yay. Actually, it's quite interesting because I started my journey as a chiropractor in the UK. So my first ever job that I ever had was in Brighton.
Oh, wow.
And it was in Brighton that I just graduated as a chiropractor, and I was in Brighton and I was helping people. And it was okay, but it was there that I realized that I don't want to be helping people with a little bit less pain, a little bit less headaches. Like, there was more to that, and enough amazing practitioners in the world that can do it. So it was actually in Brighton in the UK that I was like, I'm either out and not doing this again, or I want to be in the business of changing lives. I want to do something. I had just finished, like I'd studied all these years, and then I was like, no, this is not it. And that's when I just really opened up to actually the spine, the nervous system. When we create better function and things start to, move, and the body starts to flow and does what it needs to do, everything else changes. Like people's, sleep changes and their energy levels, and they start to go, I am just different. I'm like, yes, this is what now. Then I became interested and going, okay, now I know what I want to do. I want to change lives. And that does mean less pain, and that does mean less headaches, and that does mean more energy, but it's a changing lives that I was like, that's the thing.
Definitely.
So can you share with us, like I always love hearing your healing stories because everyone's had enough of Carli talking, but you've been doing some amazing, and we said it's got like hundreds to share, and I was like, all right, can we start with you, and then we'll keep getting you back and back again. But I'd love to hear you tell me who you've been working with and the amazing changes that you've had.
Okay, so I'm going to start with my grandson because he was struggling with horrific sealed quinsies at the age of 3. So horrible sealed
quinsies are.
It's a sealed abscess within the tonsils, and it's vile, and it really is horrible. It's nasty. And you generally won't get them in children. It doesn't happen in children generally. And he's had recurrent quinsies and recurrent tonsillitis. So it was just after I qualified, actually, with the spinal flow, and I said to his mum, my daughter, I said, look, I'm just going to get him on the bed. I'm sorry, I'm just going to do it. So I got him on the bed, and he was really a real sweetie. I got him holding some crystals, and you know what kids are like, they're a bit wiggly, but they soon chill out when they know that you're doing something to help them. And he was just so calm on the bed, and I could see his little spine starting to already, as soon as I got my hand on him, I could see his spine, and I thought, yes, come on, let's do this. And I think, because I know you say to us about children having less time, but I just thought, I'm going to do this until I feel that's enough. And I think the first time he was on the bed for about half an hour, and he absolutely loved it. And so I said to his mum, right, we'll watch this, we'll see how this goes. I need him to come again quite soon because I want to do him again. And I think I just blasted him over about 2 weeks with as much spinal flow as I could. And since I've done him, he's 5 in July, done. He's not had any,
Wow.
nothing. He's not been off school. He's a really happy boy. He's growing far too fast. I think whatever is in the food nowadays is ridiculous, but hopefully with Spinal Flow, we can help that as well. And yeah, he's able to cope with everything they throw him at school, and they're just like, wow, why can't we have more little boys like Henry? And Georgia said, send them to my mum. So yeah, I've got all these mums now calling. Can my son come? Can my daughter come? Yes, that's fine.
That's so good. Can I just clarify the when you say blasted with spinal flow, it's quite interesting because it's kind of like what happens with these little bodies is they become they have blockages or layers or stress or the flow of wisdom that goes up and down the body that is designed to heal the body starts to become blocked. So as far as blasting, what we're doing is we're blasting the stress out of the body, the interference out of the body, so there's more flow. And it's done in a beautiful, gentle way, but I love how you word blasted, because what it is if there's been stress there, we can get stress, we can get disease and illness and blocked, tonsils, all that stuff. But when it's clear and the body and the life force and the healing intelligence that exists inside the body can do what it's designed to do, the body starts to heal and it doesn't need sickness and illness. So I love that we're blasting the stuff that doesn't need to be there out. So we're left with the body's intelligence to do what it needs to do, which is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's had the odd little cold, and he comes to me and he said, Gigi, I've got a cold. I need some magic. And I'm like, get on the couch. Let's do you. And he's like, okay, let's do it. He loves it. But he had a really traumatic birth. His arm was over his head like this. His C1 was really, really blocked. Like even on adults, I don't feel it as sometimes as blocked as Henry's. It was like solid, like wood, like solid. So that's where I feel the blasting came in, because I just kept doing it and I was like, I've got to get this cleared.
Yeah.
So yeah, little man's very happy. So I'm trying it on his brother now, but he's a little bit more wiggly, so I have to do him when he's asleep.
Okay, it's just wiggle. And that's the thing with here, like up here, C1 is right here, the top of the vertebra. And so if there is a blockage there, it can affect everything, especially what we call the passion gateway, which is where the throat, the tonsils, all of that is. And there can be colds and sickness. So by clearing that, it can massively help. Yay! I love that. Thank you for sharing. Tell me about someone else.
So I had a lovely gentleman who came to me. His wife booked him in. I think he's one of these husbands that does exactly what he's told by his wife. And he used to be a fire officer, so used to carrying very heavy weights on his back with all his extinguishers or whatever, and his suits. He's had quite a heavy life being a fire protection officer, so he's been in some quite difficult situations. And he came into me. His wife said he's struggling with a hernia. And I said, okay, where's the hernia? So, she explained to me that it was a lower abdominal hernia and he was really creating problems. And he was in a lot of pain from it. And it was creating, obviously, discomfort. And obviously, if he ate the wrong foods or he got a little bit stressed, then the body would react. So anyway, he came to me, very lovely man, a little bit closed, how some gentlemen are sometimes. I met women when they come to you, they're a little bit like, well, my wife sent me. Anyway, we started chatting, and literally within 10 minutes he'd warmed up and he was telling me all the stories about everything. And it's amazing what we get out of people when they're very chilled about, the weight they used to carry and the stress they put on their bodies. So I had a really good look at him, and he was blocked from head to literally all the way down, solid blocked all the way down. And so I explained to him that obviously body wasn't going to work properly if it was holding all this stress and all these blockages, and what Spinal Flow could do for him. And he was very open to it. And he came to me again quite soon after I qualified last year, and he's still coming to me religiously, and he's very happy. And the hernia is now sort of like a memory, really. It's sort of like something that doesn't bother him really anymore. And he's just lovely. So we've dealt with C1, passion gateway blockages, all the way down through center and power. We've gone through the whole of him, and now he's got to the stage where we've gone through getting rid of all of the tightness and stiffness in the neck and down the arms. We have no pins and needles anymore. He has full dexterity of his fingers because he's a carpenter. So yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. He's a happy chap. And I'm seeing him on the couch, you know, it's not that we really care about the movement that the body makes. I'm looking at the flow and I'm like, come on, I want to see this flow increase. But he's like, and so he gets off the bed and I said, did you feel anything? No. And I'm like, nothing? No. How'd you feel? Yeah, much better. Yeah, all good. And I'm like, right, tomorrow, can you send me a text message? I want to know how you are. And he'll text me the next day and he'll go, I slept like a log. I have no pain down if he had pain in his right arm the one day down the right side, I have no pain, it's gone, pins and needles have gone. And I'm like, yes, that's great. But at the beginning when he came, and this is something that I really want to point out to everybody that's watching, is he was telling me that the next day he had pain or he had headaches or he had pins and needles. And I was like, yes, that's great. And he'd like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I want to see change. I don't care if it's bad or good. I want to see change. And he'd like, oh, okay. So then every time he came for the next sort of few times, he'd say, how are you? And he'd go, well, you're probably going to go, yes, this is great. And I'm like, tell me about it. And you go, oh, well, I had this and I had that. And how is it now? Well, it's gone. So yeah,
and I think it is, like you said, it's really important for people that are watching this, because the healing journey is not you come in and you got a problem and you want to get there and you go like that. It doesn't work like that. It's not linear.
No.
It's up and it's down, it's up and down. But also if people have got hernias and they've got stuff and they've got, you know, all these muscles that are contracted and protecting, as we start to help the body move towards healing, what can happen is you can feel that more. You can feel worse. It doesn't mean that your body's worse. Actually, the structure and function of your body is better, but some of these muscles that have been holding on for dear life don't know what they're supposed to do anymore. So it can be that you can feel worse or have more pain, but hang in there, because that's part of the healing journey. Just because it doesn't feel comfortable doesn't mean we want to stay where we are. As we get through that part, you start to go, everything changes. So that's also really important. But I want to also address something else that you said, which is super important, is sometimes people see this flow on, you know, on videos or on YouTube and they're like, I want that. I was like, well, that's only really for a third of the people. A third of the people move, a third of the people breathe, and a third of the people are really still. And we can all be a combination, and it doesn't matter. The other thing is really important is our practitioners are taught by me to monitor flow, to monitor that there's less blockages, to monitor that there's change in their body. And sometimes when you lie on the table, you're like, oh, I felt amazing, or I felt peace, or I felt flow in my system. And sometimes you can feel nothing because you can't really feel what's going on in your body because it can be screaming. And that doesn't matter either, because we're in charge of making sure there's changes. So there's a part which I love where he's like, I can't feel anything, but notice the changes that when he's home, but this is happening. I'm like, yeah, because while you're on the table, we're watching to make sure there's change happening in your system. And sometimes it feels like a really nice connection to your body, or sometimes it feels like a beautiful meditation, or sometimes it feels like, what are they doing? None of that matters, because we're watching to make sure that you change. I don't get anyone off a table until there's less blockages, more flow, and their body's functioning completely different to when they come. So it's really important what you said, because it's nice for people to hear that are receiving spinal flow, that, yeah, body might move, your body might be still, you might notice everything, you might notice nothing, but your body's going to change, because that's what we're helping you with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And another thing just to say is that just because your body moves doesn't mean to say that's a really great thing. I'm happier sometimes, and sometimes I have to. If somebody's really out there, I'm saying, come on, okay, let's just quieten all this movement down and let's just get it right inward. Let's really be perception, bring it right in. I want to feel everything that's going on so that I can actually see a wave, because otherwise, bodies all over this place, and I'm like, okay, hang on a minute. I can't actually see where you are.
Sometimes people just move. Those same people might move on your table. They might move at yoga. They might move at home. That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at every single vertebra of the spine, that there's flow up and down. And that could be large movements, but it could be very subtle stuff. So I agree. It's like, you know, some people twitch, or some people cry, or some people do none of that. And that's not what we're measuring. We're measuring that the vertebra, every single one of them has got flow. Every single one of them is moving as opposed to stuck. And then we know that healing happens too. And like you said, sometimes we want to quieten the whole system down so we can actually see. I've just come back from an immersive that we did in Mexico, and it was the same thing. There were some people that were moving, but it was like, hang on, that's the same pattern. We're not creating extra flow. So hold this one down here. I want to bring it into the nervous system so you can feel what's happening inside. And then I said, like, now do what you want, move, be still. But it's really important that, you know, spinal flow is not about mass movement. It's about flow up and down the spine. And whatever that looks like, we're happy as long as there's more flow every session. That's awesome.
Sometimes it's so subtle, and you're staring at the body like you're going to go mad, just staring at it. And then you just see it and you're like, yes, here we go. And it just gets you so excited, and I'm like, right, come on, let's go a little bit further up. Honestly, if people could see me while I'm on it,
I'm like the biggest cheerleader. It's like, the spine's moving, let's go. It's so exciting. And I've had times in my life that, you know, I could feel the movement in my spine. And then I've got times where I'm so still on that table because I can feel that vibration of energy or that life force, and I don't have a need to move my body, but I have a need that every one of my vertebra is speaking, that it's moving, that there's not a blockage in there, and there's flow. Less about me talking. I want to hear about your next person.
Okay, so I had a lovely girl who came to me. Again, this is one of my earlier ones. I'll tell you one of my later ones soon. And she was struggling with panic attacks and really bad anxiety. She would wake up in the morning. First thing she would do is have a panic attack, and then she'd probably be sick. And then if her mum got her to work, chances are she'd be phoning her mum up with an hour or two, please bring me back, because she literally couldn't life. That's my word for it. She couldn't exist in life. So her mum texted me and she said, would you see my daughter? And I said, absolutely, no problem. And she came to me for not a huge amount of time, probably. She did actually. She came to me for probably about 8 to 10 weeks. I saw her 3 times a week. We did a few other bits and pieces to help along, but it was the spinal flow that did it. There was no doubt in my mind whatsoever. And along the way, she was able to take control of how she was feeling. She was able to take control of her choices, how she felt when she woke up, her choices of how she thought, and her body responded. It was like a bit of a catch-22, which it is with anxiety and depression and panic attacks. Body came in and said, okay, we're healing. We're going to do deep healing. And she was like, okay, can I trust this? And I was like, you can trust this. This is fine. Okay, we're going to trust this. She went with it. Body was healing even more. And of course, it blew things up a little bit. And I said, look, you've just got to be 100% positive. I know what I'm doing. You are going to be fine. At the end of all this, you're going to feel fine and everything's going to be wonderful. 4 months ago, she had a baby and everything is amazing. Aww. She's living her life. She's living, as I call it, she's lifing. Everybody laughs at me because I said, people just can't life. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, this is my word, because they just can't. They can't they can't function in life. And there are so many of them out there. So body was beautiful, went through a progression at the beginning, very blocked again, all the way through C1, you know, passion, all the way down. Base was like literally stuck. And I'm like, okay, we can do this. Come on. And yeah, she is happy. She texts me occasionally, tells me how happy she is. And I always say, I am here. If you want to top up, bring baby. And she's actually going to bring baby. I'm going to do mum and baby in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
So very, very happy. Yeah. And she went with it. She had some ups and downs. She went a little bit roller coastery, but this is where a good therapist is there to support their clients. And that is so important. They can't just walk in, you do them and they go. You've got to be saying, look, this is what's going to happen. You do know that you may feel, I'm not saying you're going to feel like this, but you might feel like this. And I want you to know that it is normal. And this is what I want to see. I'm going to get really excited if you phone me up and you're going to tell me you're feeling worse. Please don't worry. And she did. We were in contact all the time. She'd text me. And now, look at her. She's living her life. She's happy. She's got a baby. Baby's fine. She hasn't got postnatal depression. She hasn't got anything.
Yay. Yay. And thank you for holding the space for her. And I was the same, you know, when people start on a journey with me, I'm like, I've got you. And it's going to be up and down, but you stay with me because I'm trying to get to the center. But be with me. I'm here. We're doing this together. And we really, as practitioners, need to really step up and let them know what to expect. Some people are just like, woohoo, feel better, better, better each time. But others will have that journey. And it's up to us to know that that's okay. And it's a path towards healing and just to be there for our people. So thank you for being that for your people. Tell me your next one.
Just a couple of things. I love to hear people when they text me when they get home and they say, I've just sung and cried all the way home. And I'm like, wow, that is just incredible. I love this. Or I'm singing and dancing around the kitchen. I haven't done this for years. And I'm like, yes. I'm like their biggest cheerleader. I love this. So the next one I'm going to tell you about is a gentleman. He's in his early 50s. And he came to me and I looked at him and I thought, you remind me of a 4-year-old without your mom and dad. That's what it reminded me of. It was like he was an adult, he'd had children, divorced from his partner, and several partners later, and sort of hooked onto one, bless him. And he is just the most lovely, kind, very soft human, and has obviously had big struggles in life from being sent to boarding school and not being listened to as a child. And he's one of my favorite, well, they're all my favorite clients, but he's very special because he's stuck with me and he comes from a long way away, and he comes twice or 3 times a week, and he comes for a double session every time. And he has progressed to now, when I look at him, he reminds me now of a young adult who is in control. He's not there yet, but he's nearly there. And he's just now able to deal with life. And he's not anxious anymore. He's not frightened anymore. He is just, I look at him and I just think, you're a different person. And I say to him, do you remember? Because I tried to get, this is another thing for your therapist, I try to get all my people to make journals when they're with me. I want to know when they come, bring your journal or do it when you get home. How did you feel before you came? How did you feel when you called? How did you feel when you made the appointment? How did you feel when you met me? How did you feel during, after, and when you got home? How did you feel for the next few days? It's really, really important because then they can look back, see how far they've come. It's huge for them, but I love to see that. Well, it's not for me, it's for them, really. So we've been working spinal flow. Now it literally clockwork. He comes into the room, he gets onto the couch, and before I've even started, arms starting to go, and I'm like, okay, so my arms are going. I said, James, not your arms I'm looking at, it's your spine. And His main blockage, it was all through the spine, but big blockage right in his foundation gateway, huge. We've got through it. We're working with it, and we are getting to that point now where he's seeing his future. He's making those big decisions that he's been frightened of making. He's what I would call adulting, and he's starting to enjoy his life and seeing that he needs to be there and he needs to do these things in life that possibly he hasn't done before for his kids or for himself, where he's possibly been not afraid of, but maybe never been in that situation where he's felt confident enough to do it. And when you look at him, you wouldn't think that he's this person. But yeah, and I think so far, to see him when he walks in now, instead of him saying, oh, you know, I'm all inside and I just can't, you know, I'm all like this and I just don't know what's wrong with me and I'm just feeling sick inside and I'm just anxious all the time and is it ever going to go away? To now, he sits on the couch and he's like, so what are we doing today then? And I'm like, look at you, look how far you've come. So yeah.
I just I think that people, I mean, I know that people, I look around now and I just see and I hear how many people are struggling to live a life that they love inside a body that feels good. And so I just wanted to share that because there are people watching this, and if that's you and you're feeling like that, like you're not alone. A lot of people are feeling like that right now. The amount of stress in our world that gets stuck and stored in our body, the amount of stress and trauma that we've had in our world, it's a lot. And there are so many people that are like living in this world, in this body, and are not having fun, are not loving life. And what we know for sure through the spinal flow technique is that it can be different. You can actually start to live your life again. And I just love, Georgina, that you are doing that for your people. I love your passion. You're equally as passionate as me, which I believe is why you're super successful and helping people, because you're on a massive mission and doing really, yeah. And we have no other choice because there's so much suffering out there, and we're here to make a difference. Now, before we get off, I have to say, I know that you're already massively busy because you're representing UK. But people are watching this and they want to find you. So how can they find you?
They can find me online. They can either contact or get onto the Spinal Flow Technique website, and then they can look under contacts and for the UK, and I'm on there. As well as I know I've got another fellow, probably 8 now, that are qualified in the UK, and we're all as good as each other. I'm saying this, they're all amazing and they're all around the country. Or you can contact me at www.sacredhealing.co.uk.
Oh, I love that. Sacred healing.
Sacred healing.
Sacred healing is exactly what you do. And I just, again, thank you for being on here. And thank you for sharing your stories with us, because, you know, if one person here can go, oh, that's me, and we can start to help more people change their lives, then we're doing what we're here to do. So thank you so much for today. I've loved having you on here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So lovely to see you. Thank you, Carly.
Thank you.